Hello there everyone, I'm Ben Roy from WhatCulture and I'm joined with Kirsten today because, well, Last of Us gameplay was revealed yesterday and we're going to talk about it because The Last of Us 2 is almost here. It's less than almost 20 days now and I don't know about you, Kirsten, but I can just feel it. I can taste this game. It's been so long. What do you think?
Yeah, it's really getting close now, and it's just every small bit that we get to see, it just looks more and more amazing, and I'm super excited. Like, just watching this trailer, I was always forgetting, not trailer, sorry, the gameplay. I completely forgot I was actually watching the gameplay, and at one point I was like looking for my controller, and I went to like go pick it up, and I was like, oh no, wait, I'm watching. Like, I'm just so ready to play it now. It's like, just get it in my face.
Oh, straight away you look at it and like you can tell that there's been time and effort being put into this game. I mean, I think I've every time The Last of Us comes up, I go, I got the platinum recently, and playing that game, it does kind of feel its age a bit, even though I'm still a fan of the gameplay. But just looking at this, it looks so much smoother. It looks just polished to maybe a fault at sometimes the way it's taken so long. But this game looks like it's going to be on another level and a nice way to cap off this generation.
Yeah, definitely. It just looks incredible, and I love the fact that you are getting to play as Ellie now. I know that, like you said, that you're a big fan of Joel, and obviously he doesn't seem to be as present in this one. But for me, I just think being able to play as Ellie, it's almost like that moment in The Walking Dead when you go from playing as Lee and then going into playing as Clementine. It's just it's carrying on that journey and sort of seeing actually what it is that this very young person that's living in this awful world has had to then adapt, and just seeing the change of character. I mean, she's totally badass in this one. I mean, she was pretty badass as a kid anyway, but she's like 19 now. And yeah, she doesn't seem to she doesn't take no crap from anybody from the looks of it. She's completely up for murdering people or not murdering people. She's almost scary in a way to sort of see how this world has now shaped her.
She's out for someone who's wronged her, as it was put. And I'll just say, go from killing to not killing. This game, as they've said, is the biggest game that Naughty Dog have ever made. And when Neil Druckmann was going to it, the environments look massive, and traversal is going to be a much bigger emphasis this time, because a lot of people describe The Last of Us 1 as like wide linear, but that didn't really come into effect until Uncharted 4. But this seems to have taken the sections of Uncharted 4 with the vehicle and just going boom. How about you climb up a few stories of a building, you can see down, you can sort of go around, and this leads me to believe that you might be able to get through a lot of these sections without doing the classic video game thing of killing the last thing to get through, especially with like the rope and things like that, because I imagine once you put a rope onto a wall or use a rope to get down, infected of any kind aren't going to use that rope, so that's going to be a nice way to maybe get around them. And I might even try a no kill run at some point, or as minimal as possible. Obviously there'll be a few you have to kill, but I don't know, what do you think about the ropes? I think the ropes, at first I was like, oh, do I like it? But just be able to swing over gaps and climb up, it's just going to change the game entirely. Like, when I saw Ellie climb a car about a year ago when they showed it, I was amazed by that. Now I'm ready for this, and I can't wait to explore Seattle.
Yeah, it does look incredible. I mean, the actual, like, just the landscapes just look beautiful, and like when we were sort of going over this, we were saying about how nature seems like it's starting to reclaim the world a little bit more, and I love that aesthetic of knowing that even after all of this horrible stuff that's happened, nature starts to finally kind of come back, which I guess is kind of the whole point of the zombies in this game. Is it's kind of, they're like these mushroom people, so it's kind of nature related anyway, so having that to look at, it's just like, look how nature's really starting to reclaim the world. But yeah, with the ropes and stuff, I think, like you said, having that option to not kill people if you don't want to, and I can see how they can give you that option, because you can either go down Ellie's on a vengeance route and she'll kill anyone that gets in her way, or it's like, yes, she just wants answers and she'll get there, but she doesn't necessarily want to kill people unless she has to. And I think that's a good way of doing it, because not everyone wants to kind of take that route, and being able to shape Ellie as a character yourself is a really good idea, I think.
Yeah, and the difference between the two factions that they've put in here, they've said the Washington Liberation Front and the new religious zealot group, also known as the Scars, who kind of cut themselves deep to like get themselves into the group. They're going to add two different types of way to play just for humans, because the Liberation Front, the WLF, basically, if anyone's watched it and heard Neil Druckmann go over this, they took back the city and now they're using all the military equipment that was there. But they also have dogs, which is going to be a big thing of like trying to get away from the scent trail. And I can't imagine how Josh Brown's going to play this without using the vision and seeing where his scent cone is. I imagine he's going to get bitten by dogs throughout the time. But with the religious group, I imagine you're going to be going through a bit of level, and they're going to be a bit sneaky as the stalkers were in the first Last of Us, where these enemies are, you're going to have, we did see some big men with hammers in like other gameplay, but I imagine they're going to be creeping around like you as well, trying to get you for the kill. And that mixed with the infected is going to add like at least a third tier to the gameplay, and I'm really looking forward to that. I don't know about if you think that we're going to have so much of a difference between these two groups. What do you think there?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely going to up the ante, I think, because if you are going to try and go through that kind of stealthy approach, knowing that something else could technically be stealthily stalking you at the same time, it's a scary thought, but it does, like you said, add that extra tier to the gameplay and something new. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they kind of implement that and how it will kind of affect the gameplay. And if you kind of get to that point where you're just never really fully comfortable, you're always kind of on the edge of your seat thinking like, oh, I can play this stealthily, but at the same time I do need to be aware of what's behind me as well. Yeah.
And speaking of I'm going to say the three factions in this game at the moment, because unless there's maybe another form of the infected we don't know, we're going to be able to take what was in Left Behind, where that was quite a novel thing where you could use the infected to fight the humans and kind of sneak past or pick off who's left. And Neil Druckmann went into this and emphasis more that this is going to be a bigger part of the game. And I'm really glad that we're going to be able to maybe throw a glass bottle, watch chaos ensue and just creep past.
Yeah.
But going on to the infected, we're going to have the runners back, we're going to have the clickers back, big old bloaters and the stalkers. And then one new type of infected that they went into, which I have now forgotten the name of, the Shambler. And this is kind of like a mix between the bloater and the clickers, which we've seen sort of before, and they sort of spray spores out and burn you when you get close. But there are more to come, so I'm kind of like excited to see what other types of, and yeah, infected zombies, they're basically plant zombies, so we're just going to call them zombies. Do you think we're going to have, how many more do you think? We've got quite a few more, and playing these into the people, like, are you looking forward to that?
Yeah, I think, I mean, it's definitely, when I saw that she was able to sort of craft items and stuff and how she was able to, like, distract enemies, the first thing that came to my mind was, I wonder if she would be able to sort of, like, set up traps, including, like, zombies, and like you said, be able to sort of set something up so that your enemies can then go into that area and you just let them get picked off, and then technically your hands are clean. But yeah, having new infected would be brilliant, I think. It makes me wonder if maybe they're just going to completely get rid of some of the older ones, or if they will kind of just be less often in the game, so they're trying to introduce new zombies, which would be interesting. But I could see maybe like 3 or 4 different types, I think would be nice, because I think if there's just too many that you have to try and remember, like, how does this one work, how does that one work, especially if there are new ones as well. I mean that's part of the game experience, isn't it, is learning how these enemies work and how you're supposed to defeat them. So yeah, it'll be interesting, but I just hope they don't add too many, because that's a lot of different type of zombies that you have to try and remember how to kill.
Yeah, keep it down to the basics. Get a boomer in there while we're at it. Yeah. We did touch upon the environments, but they seem to be a lot more like interactive this time. Like, you can break through shop windows to get through a certain part. There's going to be a lot more flooded areas, that it seems, and the whole part of like the horse sections in the first Last of Us were more scripted, apart from the bit in university. It seems like the horse is going to be more of like the open worldy horse where you get on and you travel around sections, which I'm skeptical about. I don't want this to be full open world. I know they said there could be side quests and stuff, but as long as I'm use it mainly to get from A to B, and the boat as well. Like, I wonder how much boating is going to be in this game. Like, how are you on, like, how do you want this open world? Do you want it to be tighter? Do you want it somewhere in the middle? What do you want?
Yeah, I think somewhere in the middle is nice. I think for a game like this, which does really rely on a great story, that's what I'm definitely going to be focusing on. So I hope that they don't implement too big of an open world, just because I can find it just gets so distracting, because you end up losing your way. And when you are just trying to follow that storyline and find out what is happening, and you just want to kind of complete that story arc, it's so easy to get distracted by side quests or even just completely get lost in general. So I think somewhere in the middle would be nice, having that option to sort of explore a tiny bit and just be able to have a look at the world and maybe help some survivors if you can. But yeah, just don't do it too big. I just want to know what's going on.
My thoughts exactly there. I also, you've touched on the crafting, but it seems like it's going to be taken to another level this time. I don't know, they didn't say if you could craft arrows, or I know you can craft different types of arrows. I hope you can find things in the environment to actually build the arrows, because that was also always a thing in the first one. Is like, I was very sort of worried about how you would run out of the arrow. Like, I was always worried about running out of arrows, basically. And I love the idea of getting some explosive ones in there to really sort of mix it up, because in this sort of game, you don't want a rocket launcher or anything like that. You want something that's going to be more sort of effective in the environment. And they're bringing suppressors into the main game. Now, the suppressors were in the first game, but they were only really in the multiplayer. But I like the idea of them taking the sort of aspect of what Walking Dead did, shoving a plastic bottle on the gun. I'm not actually sure if that really works, but using that for like a few limited shots, because I don't know if you played other games before. I'm trying to think of one, but I can't. Where suppressors, you use them and they break, and that always annoys me. Metal Gear Solid: The Phantom Pain. I don't know, that seems a bit too sort of contrived there, but here it feels like you use a plastic bottle 3 or 4 times and it's not going to be useful anymore.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's nice having that option, being able to think like, oh, she's just using her environment to actually craft these weapons, and that's really interesting. But yeah, seeing the whole bottle on the gun thing, like, I could understand how that could slightly work, but I agree with you that surely it can only work for a certain amount of times, like maybe 3 or 4 shots, and then it's just going to kind of explode in on itself, which I kind of understand. I kind of want it to be that way, because then it's more realistic. I think if you just have this indestructible plastic bottle, people are going to start questioning, hang on a second, that's just not how physics works. So yeah, in that case, it doesn't bother me too much if maybe you have to recraft a new one, as long as that sort of particular item is plentiful within the game.
Yeah, I just think about, I can't wait to just try and sneak through all this, but then again, at the same time, it looks like because they've said before, NPCs care more about each other, and what we sort of saw is the person who was playing Ellie threw a Molotov at a dog, the people ran over to care for the dog, and she was able to get away. And that seems like another way where you can sort of plan your way to get to the next door, because they do have some of these like forced load-in doors, but it seems like you can just sneak through that. But we've gone a bit long here, and we've gone over sort of everything that was in the video. I'll just say that they've killed off the last PlayStation Vita user, so that maybe is the end of PS Vita. Like, put down in the comments below if you still got a Vita, but RIP the PS Vita. And one other thing, like crawling through the vents, just makes me think of Splinter Cell. I don't know if that crawling through the vent section is going to be one thing, or you can crawl through all the vents, but give me more vent crawling. Unless you've got anything else, Kirsten, I think that's it for us today.
Yeah, no, that's it. It looks brilliant. I'm super excited, and I just want it. I just want it now. Just give it to us.
Excellent. Well, you've only got to wait about 20 odd days to go. I've been Ben Ray. You can follow me on Twitter at Ben Ray Turner. You can follow Kirsten at
Kirsten Ria with 2 A's.
And until next time, endure and survive.
Bye.